Hey everyone, thank y'all for joining us. We're super excited. Got our first game this week on Friday against Louisville, and we're just going to jump right in. We're going to let Coach just talk a little bit about last week, this week, and kind of what we're seeing for Friday.
Yeah. Last week cuts, had to make tough decisions. Part of the business, never fun. And then started our prep on Saturday, had a walkthrough and first official day of practice yesterday. We'll be into our second day today, and guys are doing what they're supposed to do, coming in like pros and preparing the right way. So now it's just putting everything together and going out and playing.
We'll go ahead and open it for questions. Ryan, go ahead and kick us off.
Good morning, Coach. Thanks again. Can you describe how Cody has been progressing as a coach? I talked to uh, Dion this past week, and he said it's been a journey for him. Can you explain how, from your perspective, how he's progressed as a coach?
Yeah, I think one, Cody's unbelievable. He's one of the best dudes you'll ever meet. He wants to learn more and more. I mean, yesterday, me and him spent a lot of time talking about fronts and him wanting to take the next step into coaching and, playing the receiver position. I mean, you don't have to be keyed into protections and understanding what all 11 guys are doing. You worry about watching the ball and running the right route and at the right depth. And then you understand, some guys understand coverages. Uh, hey, it might be one high, have this. If it's too high, have that. But I think Cody's been unbelievable. I mean, the dude does whatever you ask. I mean, he's just a workhorse. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's a great receivers coach. He has a great rapport with those guys. The fact that he is younger, he's played the position, he played it at the highest level possible. He was a high draft pick. I mean, he has all the accolades there to get the respect as soon as he just walks into the room. And then now it's bonding with the guys and them trusting him. And he's been a unbelievable coach for us. And I've known him for so long. I mean, he's one of my good friends, and I love him to death.
James, we'll go ahead and open up with your question.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time as always. Just curious to get some insight on how you're preparing for this game against the Kings, where Chris Redman's never coached, Steve Logan hasn't coached in a long time, Jamie Sharper hasn't been a defensive coordinator. How do you kind of prepare when there's not a whole lot of film to go off of here in camp?
You close your eyes and hope for the best. No, I mean, listen, it's tough. You kind of really just try to guess and take the two joint practices, and then it's a guessing game from there. I mean, it's going to be that way for a lot of guys that have new staffs, and you're not really sure what they're going to do. So I think it's more than anything, the first game comes down to, all right, can you take care of the football? Can you not hurt yourself? Can you not have stupid penalties where you're false starts, offsides, bad holding calls, defensive pass interference when it's obvious? Like, it's little things like that that you can control. And if you can take care of the football, and then the other biggest thing is tackling. I mean, it comes down to, I think when you look at any level, whether it's high school, college, NFL, here, the teams that can tackle the best and make those tackles are also successful in those probably first three games, when guys are trying to get used to playing with live bullets. So I don't, James, to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, you try to do the best you can, and even if it's running your base stuff, but you have answers for any coverage, and then it's the guys understanding what their tools are in the toolbox, and then communication on the sideline or during the play, and facing different coverages during throughout camp. and understanding, hey, this is versus this coverage. We have to run the route this way versus this other. It's, it changes. So that's a good question. If you got some insight, send it my way.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But to follow on that really quick, with the quarterbacks, are we gonna have to wait until March 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern to know who the starter is, or will you be naming that this week?
Yeah, Maddie's our starter.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Anthony, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, appreciate the time, Coach. I wanted to ask you about the wide receiver room. It's been kind of going viral the last day or so about how deep the wide receiver room is. Can you just talk a little bit about how that room has been doing? And then just curious on how you're going to manage to have, I mean, you have legitimately probably 6 to 7 receivers who could probably start for any team in this league. How do you plan on managing those guys, in terms of, are you going to stick with 3, 4 of the starters, or are you going to rotate guys in?
Yeah, we're rotating everybody. And we feel that same way about our tight end room. We feel the same way about our running back room as well as the receiver room. So, I mean, that's why we built the team this way. It's why I went after, so many explosive playmakers from that position. Is I want guys fresh, and I want to see if defenses can, match up with our guys for 60 minutes. So it's part of it. It's, we'll have to decide from a sense of how many we want to carry into the active. That's still up in the air. But, yeah, I mean, the receiver room's been awesome. I mean, you every camp you're going to deal with some soft tissue and some little nicks and knacks there, but I mean they've come in and worked their asses off each and every day, and that's all you can ask. Things haven't always been perfect, but we kind of have a rule: if you're going to mess up full speed, and they have no problem with that. So they can run. So it's been an awesome group to have. But yeah, we'll keep guys fresh.
Thanks, Coach.
Jake, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Coach, always appreciate you taking the time.
Yep.
Sort of a similar question here. Wanted you to talk a bit about some of the players that you have in this backfield. I mean, this is a tremendously talented running back room. Curious how you view these players.
Yeah, I mean, we feel like we could hand it off to all 3 of them at any point, and it'd be a home run. Our biggest thing is setting the tone up front, and the big fella's playing well, and then in doubt, you give it to 5, you give it to 24, or you give it to 9. And those guys have all performed extremely well during camp, and I'm excited with those 3 guys going into the first game and watching them go to work.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
Yep.
John, go ahead with your question.
AJ, as James said, there's probably not a lot of tape to look at right now, but is there any indication or any impressions that you have of Jason Bean with Louisville?
John, to be honest with you, I have not watched any of their offense. I mean, I leave that. That's why I went after the staff I went after from an experience standpoint. If they come to me and ask about, from a sense of, hey, what's some issues that we could cause in this protection or out of this look, I'm there for them. But for me to say, hey, you need to play whatever coverage to this quarterback, that's not my forte. Listen, I know he's athletic quarterback, throws it well, can run it well. I mean, it's going to be a challenge, but I'm sure our defense is ready for that challenge.
And quick follow up, your quarterback Matt Corral, he's a known quantity, a known commodity. What was it that really made him stand apart and make him your starter?
I think it's just from an experience standpoint. My biggest thing with Matt is taking care of the football, put our team in a position to win the game. You take care of the football, especially, like I said, throughout the season, but it's very critical in these first 3 games. If you can keep yourself out of bad situations, you can find success. So, listen, he has the most experience in this room. He's been great to have in this room, and that's who we're going to roll with.
Thanks, AJ.
Yep.
Jeff, go ahead with your question.
Hi, AJ. I've heard that, teams kind of take on the personality of their head coach. What kind of personality does this team have that you hope it plays with?
Well, I just hope we play with a intensity and grit that nobody else wants to match for 60 minutes. I want us to fly around to the ball. I want us to all have a little chip on our shoulder, and go out there and listen. When you step inside the white lines, you're allowed to be another person. You're allowed to have a swagger, a confidence, a cockiness, whatever you want to call it. It's part of playing sports. If you don't have that and you allow self-doubt to creep in, you're doomed. So, my biggest thing is bad things are going to happen, even kill, and just work.
Very good. Eric, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Coach, Eric with the Bottom Line. We know you know how to prepare as a player, but talk to us now as a coach, what the difference is in preparing for a game, especially your first one.
Yeah, to be honest with you, there's not much difference. Listen, there's going to be a learning curve for every coach in this deal, from just some of the rule changes, not being able to punt once you cross the 50. It's basically 4-down territory at all times, unless, you think you're in field goal range. But even when I was playing quarterback, I'm still in charge of the clock. I've never had a head coach kind of tell me, hey, you're not calling timeouts. Like you got to understand when you're in a good play, when you're in a bad play, when you need to burn a timeout. There's going to be, like I said, a learning curve in this thing to where, hell, I know I'm not going to be perfect. There's going to be mess ups. But I think every coach is going to go through that this year, trying to figure out this punt deal, this field goal deal, even from a defensive side of things, right? Because there might be times in a 2-minute that you might want them to have to go for it from a longer distance. So you got to burn a timeout, or you might want them to punt. So then you have to burn a timeout, or you don't. It's just different. It's not normal football. So there's going to be some quirks in this deal that are going to be a learning experience for everybody. But I really don't see a ton of difference from how I've always done it throughout my career, from preparing our offensive game plan. Like, you talk to any of my OCs, I don't care if I was a backup or the starter, I'm coming in with 9 million ideas, and then we take what we want and kind of break it down and come up with our best game plan. So it's the same way. I'm involved in all this, and me and Siski and our quarterbacks, along with our offensive staff, kind of put this whole thing together and come up with what we think's best, and then kind of lay the chips out there and see where we are at the end of it.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to wrap up with Coach with Ed's question, and then we're going to let Coach go and have Lucas jump in. But so, Ed, go ahead and wrap us up with Coach's segment.
Hi, Coach. This is Ed with the Bottom Line. They always say that games can be won and lost in the trenches. What are your initial thoughts on your defensive line going into the season, and who do you see that could be a real difference maker and cause a lot of havoc?
Well, Ed, I can't give you all the secrets, but all I can say is, because once I do it and you do a great job of fucking reporting for Bottom Line, then all of a sudden, Louisville starts figuring out, hey, we need to focus on this guy. So, but listen, I think we have a ton of playmakers up front. To be honest with you, I mean, that's how we built this roster. Not only going to get guys that can make plays out wide, but we really focused on the interior part from an offensive standpoint. We wanted big fellas up front that can move D linemen, that can set the tone. And then we wanted D linemen that were able to play multiple positions, right? Whether they're playing a shade, whether they're playing a 2-eye, whether they're a 4-eye, or they can bump out all the way to a 5 technique. Like, we wanted guys that are very versatile and that can play multiple spots, and I think we have that. I'm excited for this group. I mean, we have guys that are hungry on the D line, that have something to prove. We have guys that were playing in the CFL arena, like guys that have been, whether you want to say overlooked or just not found yet. And I think we have a couple of those guys that are going to be considered diamonds in the rough, to be honest with you. And I'm super excited to watch these guys go work because I'm tired of practicing against them. They've caused us some issues throughout this camp, and it'll be fun to watch them hopefully cause issues for other teams.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Coach. We'll let you go, and we'll have Lucas jump in.
All right.
Hey there, Lucas. Okay, why don't you we'll let you unmute and then just talk a little bit about what this has meant for you and the lead up to this game, what kind of that you're feeling right now, and then we'll take some questions.
Absolutely. It's just always a great opportunity to play professional ball and continue playing the game that you love. You don't take any of these moments really for granted, especially when you've had time outside of the game to really reflect and look back. Maybe opportunities that you wish you had back. So just being here and being able to, be with a great unit, led by great coaches, it's been ecstatic. We're super excited. And this week, it's the opener. Everyone's vibes are super high. We're super excited to get back out there. And I'm just ready to go.
Very good. Okay, Ryan, you want to kick us off?
Hey, Lucas, how's it going? Yeah, so coming from the Battlehawks, being familiar with Coach McCarron and all, what's it like coming now to the Birmingham Stallions and not competing against folks like Deion Kane and Marlon Williams, but actually being on the same team with those guys?
Absolutely. It's been great. Some of these guys we played against a lot against in the prior seasons, and just being able to work with them now and understanding parts of their game. And obviously we all learn from each other, whether that's, splits and how we see the game. The communication has been through the roof, and everyone's been really helpful towards each other, just trying to make sure that we're the best unit that we can be. Obviously this is a great organization, history of winning multiple championships. So I'm just glad to be here.
Very good. Anthony, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, appreciate the time, Lucas. I wanted to ask you about the transition from being in the Battlehawks defensive system to kind of transitioning over to Kevin's system this year with the Stallions. How has that transition been for you, and what are some of the things that you like about the system this year that maybe helps with your skill set?
Absolutely. It's always great working with new coaches. Everyone has their own nuances and you get to learn things that you probably might have not have learned from somebody else, vice versa. And in this system, it's really designed for everybody to make plays. You know what I mean? It's not just one group rather than another group. It's just everybody collectively works together. And at some point in time, this is designed for that person, for that unit, for that group. So I think it's just very collaborative, and it's very open to ideas and suggestions.
Very good. Steve, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Lucas, you talked about not taking, opportunities to play football for granted. When you first came out of Boston College and cut by Tampa Bay or left Tampa Bay, did you have a couple years in there where you didn't play football before you went and played with the Pirates?
Yes, sir, I did. I spent about a year and a half, maybe up to 2 years at home. I was training. And then one thing I really realized is things aren't going to happen for you unless you go do them yourself. And that's something that I learned, I think, in great time, but I wish I learned that as soon as I had got cut from the Battlehawks. I mean, not the Battlehawks, from Tampa Bay. And when I really started to focus on putting myself out there and, getting opportunities for myself, I think that's when there was a shift in my, and just the progression of, the pro seasons that I've been able to play with.
What was it like going from playing to not playing and then going to indoor football, which is totally different, obviously, than outdoor football? Kind of what was that experience like for you? And is it really looking back on it, is it really a blessing?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you're out the game, you're sitting there with a whole bunch of hindsight and a whole bunch of I wish I could have, all that. But it was a very interesting moment for me. You got to put your pride aside if you really want to elevate. That's something I truly believe. And going into that game, with the Pirates and just playing in the indoor, you gain a lot of perspective on things that you might not have thought about before, and it forces you to train certain techniques. In the indoor, it's a very small arena, so leverage is extremely key. There are not a lot of outbreaking routes, so really focusing on your leverage and your technique, I think, is something that you're able to carry to the outdoor game. And it really helped me in an unimaginable way.
And just final thing for me, just real quick, is your career. You have a career outside of football too, already started, right?
Yes. So I was working downtown Boston in the finance industry, and it was it was good. I did it for 6 months, but just realized that I had missed the game so much. So like I said, I had put my pride aside, went to work in the arena. I took a large pay cut, and just got back to doing what I love the most. And it's got me here, and I couldn't be more thankful.
All right. Thanks, Lucas.
Very good. Luke, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Lucas, thanks for doing this. Just wanted to ask, you talked a little bit about the coaching staff, but just wanted to kind of circle in specifically on Coach Pearson. Obviously a very experienced coach, was a defensive coordinator in the FBS level just last season. Just curious kind of how it's been working with him. What are some things maybe you've kind of taken away, and what he's sort of done to help get this secondary group ready for Friday night?
Absolutely, man. Coach Pearson, it's been a blessing to have him with us. And he's a man of principle. And he really does sprinkle a lot of wisdom on us, having so much experience and just coming from many different backgrounds. And it's really like a light to have in the room. He keeps the light, the vibe's pretty light, and keeps us laughing. But when it's time to work, it's always time to work. So every day he reminds us, that we're here for a reason and we got a job to do. So it's been fantastic, and just learning through him and Coach Scherer. And this is, I couldn't ask for a better coaching staff, especially on the defensive side.
Well, very good. Well, thank you all so much. I'll be sending an email out for those who can't make it to Louisville this Friday night. I'll have a Zoom link so that you can jump on after the game and hear from our victory speech. And so we hope that we will see you all soon, and maybe after that, and then we'll set up something next week as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.